Ban on child marriage is deemed un-Islamic by Pakistan's religious leaders. A new, a new law banning child marriage in Pakistan has been criticised by a prominent council for being un-Islamic. Pakistan's government last week passed the Child Marriage Restraint Bill, which aims to put an end to minors being forced into marriages and cohabitation with adults. The legislation, set to be signed into effect by President Asif Ali Zardari, will see adults found to be cohabiting with minors punished by up to 7 years in a prison and a fine of 1 million rupees, which is about £2,663, on charges of statutory rape. I think this is a great thing. Let's see how Pakistan's handling it. It is set to roll out in the Pakistani capital Islamabad with hopes that other parts of the country will introduce the law in short order. You're going to be waiting a while for that one, don't hold your breath. But Pakistan's Council of Islamic Ideology, a prominent body that advises the government of the Muslim majority nation whether or not a certain law is repugnant to Islam, has opposed the bill. So it seems that not being able to have sex with children is repugnant to Islam. Islam don't like it. Islam is pro-child sex. That's not what I'm saying. I'm simply going off of the words, right, of the Council of Islamic Ideology. I didn't say that. That's what they said. But anyway, the council said in a statement published Tuesday, declaring marriage below the age of 18 as child abuse and prescribing punishments for it and other controversial provisions are not in line with Islamic injunctions. Child abuse is preventing child abuse is not in line with Islamic injunctions. Again, it's not me saying that. I'm just going off what I am reading here on the page. Right. Overall, the council rejected the bill. It also clarified that this bill was not sent to the council for review by the Parliament or the Senate, probably because they knew you would reject it. Marriage should be protected from unnecessary legal complications. I also think children should be protected, but maybe that's just me. And a public awareness campaign in this regard could prove more effective, it argued. The bill was passed after several female politicians who were married off as minors shared their personal support. Because, now, I don't know if you know this, but see how the kids that get married off to the older Islamic men, they have a horrible life. They have a horrible time. They're prone to domestic abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, all the kinds of abuse, right? Because they're not seen as people, essentially. They're seen as second-class citizens, and they have a horrible time. So I think that's probably why they were in support of this bill, because they don't want what happened to them to happen to others. I mean, I agree. I think we should be preventing this. But anyway, Pakistan ranks among the top 10 countries with the highest absolute number of women who were married before the age of 18, more than 20 million. Holy fucking shit. Data compiled by activist group Girls Not Brides and Pakistan's National Institute of Population Studies suggests nearly 1 in 5 women in Pakistan, 18%, are married before the age of 15, and 4% before the age of 18, and 4% before the age of 15. Wow, how lovely. What a great country. Researchers and activists point to a range of factors contributing to Pakistan's soaring child marriage rate, including religion, long entrenched societal and gender norms, and rampant poverty. Sherry Rehman, a senator who tabled the bill after MP Sharmila Faruqi introduced it in Pakistan's National Assembly, said the new legislation will send a powerful message. It is a very important signal to the country, to our development partners, and to women that their rights are protected at the top. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Pakistan's women's rights record, not the best. It's not there, actually. It's just not there. This is them trying to get a foot in the door going, hey, maybe we shouldn't fuck kids. And Pakistan's like, no, shut up. But anyway, Nasima Ehsan, 50, told the Senate, I got married at 13 years old and I want child marriage to be banned. Fair. I was lucky to have good and affluent in-laws, but most Pakistani women are not so lucky. Not every child has a supportive husband like me. Okay. So there's some work to be done here. But anyway, the bill's text pointed out that research had invariably proved that child marriage is harmful to both genders and especially girls who have hit puberty and are able to bear children. Esan added, I've never been so content to vote for a bill as the child marriage restraint bill in comments to The Guardian. Now, yeah, this is a whole thing, is everybody, some of the arguments made, especially back in like the kingly days, was if a child has had her first period, then that means, oh, you're good. You can totally have babies now. It's not the case. Having babies that young has an extremely detrimental effect on the child, and also the chance of death in childbirth are astronomically higher. Astronomically higher, as well as the mental damage that it causes to the child, which is why, yeah, whatever, they're bleeding tough shit. Yeah, well, science also says that it causes devastating effects to the child, like to their mental health and also their physical health. So the answer's no. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry, but the child marriages will stop. But anyway, the world has changed and developed. Yes, we have progressed and we must embrace the progress. It was a very much needed bill. I agree. Pakistan in 2010 devolved much political power to regional governments, entrusting provinces to draft and enact many of their own laws. The regional government in the Pakistan province of Sindh passed a Marriage Restraint Act back in 2013 that outlawed marriage under the age of 18, but it remains the only excuse me, but it remains the only province to have done so. It is hoped that the new legislation set to come into effect. Get the hiccups now. That the new legislation set to come into effect across the Islamabad capital territory will lead to the measure being adopted throughout the country, and I hope it is. Nadeem Afzal Chani, member of the Pakistan People's Party, said the government in Balochistan province would soon follow suit. The provincial government in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, I don't know, has also drafted a child marriage restriction bill, though it is yet to be passed. Pakistan has committed to ending child, early, and forced marriage by 2030, in line with the Sustainable Development Goals outlined by the United Nations. But underage marriage is still rampant, particularly in rural areas of Pakistan. The CII is seen as one of the most influential and prominent bodies preventing politicians from taking action. A recently published article in Pakistani outlet Dawn described theological authorities as self appointed custodians of belief and convention that reject empowerment, making it difficult for political parties to criticise child marriage, forced conversions, and other atrocities in their party manifestos and poll campaigns. The deeply patriarchal undercurrents of our socio political setting, too, have kept politicians from stressing on the need to abandon laws that validate child abuse, as well as allow adults to coerce young girls into illegal unions, it read. Now, this was a topic I had to debate back in the day, and I was debating am or she, and I could just feel a little bit of my sanity leave my body every single time. And which is why I, even during that stage, I had people emailing me going, "Hello, Count Dankula, I am a paedophile and I would like to debate you on," and I was just like, no, I'm done. Right, I'm sorry. I have done my time in the trenches. It was time for me to go home with a nice big dose of shell shock in the process at some of the stuff that these people were fucking saying. Right, I'm done with it. Now, for a fact, children under a certain age do not have the mental faculties to understand the social, physical, and mental ramifications of such decisions. Therefore, they are not capable of making such decisions. Therefore, the age of consent is a good thing. The age of consent exists there to protect children from being preyed upon by older adults who can very easily manipulate them into doing things that they do not want to do. Things which, once they grow up and they have the mental capacity to understand the ramifications of those actions, they would probably say, damn, I really wish I didn't do that. Wow, I'm very mentally fucked up now because of that, which is why such laws are in place, right? It is to prevent people from being preyed upon. It's to prevent children from being manipulated and coerced into things, because basically they see every adult as an authority figure and they're going to do what they tell them to do, whereas adults are on equal footing, which is why those relationships are much better. Relationships between adults and children, for a fact, is a bad thing. It is a bad thing, and it should not happen, and that's why these laws exist. That's it. The subject's dealt with. It doesn't need to be debated anymore because the debate's already been won, right? And I'm very, very happy that Pakistan is following suit. But, I mean, I would like it to happen faster.